If you use Zelle, you probably expect your money to move instantly. Most of the time, it does. But there are moments when a payment feels stuck, pending, or delayed, and that raises an important question. What is the longest a Zelle transaction can actually take? Let's break this down clearly, based on how Zelle really works, what causes delays, and what you can do when your money does not arrive as expected. Zelle is designed for speed. In a normal situation, a Zelle payment between two enrolled users is completed within minutes. This is the experience most banks advertise, and it is accurate for everyday transfers between trusted contacts. However, Zelle transactions are not guaranteed to be instant in every case. The longest a Zelle transaction can take is typically between 1 and 3 business days. In rare situations, it can take slightly longer if additional review is required by your bank. The biggest factor that determines speed is whether both the sender and the recipient are fully enrolled with Zelle. If both parties are enrolled and using compatible banks, the transfer is usually completed within minutes. If the recipient is not yet enrolled, the payment may remain pending until they sign up, which can take up to 14 days before the transaction expires and the funds are returned to the sender. Another common reason for delays is bank security review. Zelle payments are monitored for fraud, especially when you send money to a new recipient, send a large amount, or make multiple payments in a short time. If your bank flags the transaction, it may be temporarily held for review. In these cases, the transfer can take 1 to 3 business days before it is either completed or reversed. Bank processing schedules also matter. Even though Zelle operates digitally, your bank still applies internal processing rules. Transactions sent late at night, on weekends, or on public holidays may not be fully processed until the next business day. This can make a payment feel delayed even though it is technically moving through the system. Payment limits can also affect timing. Each bank sets its own Zelle sending limits, both daily and monthly. If you attempt to send an amount above your allowed limit, the transaction may be declined instantly or placed on hold. Some banks may require manual verification, which adds extra time. It is also important to understand the difference between pending, completed, and failed Zelle transactions. A pending payment means the money has not yet been deposited into the recipient's account. This usually happens when the recipient is not enrolled or when the bank is reviewing the transaction. A completed payment means the money has been delivered, and at that point it cannot be cancelled. A failed payment means the transfer did not go through, and the funds should return to your account. One of the most common misconceptions is that Zelle charges fees for delayed payments. Zelle itself does not charge fees to send or receive money. However, your bank may have account-related fees that are separate from Zelle. Delays are almost never caused by fees, but rather by security checks, enrollment issues, or bank policies. If your Zelle transaction is taking longer than expected, there are a few steps you should take. First, confirm that the recipient is enrolled with the correct email address or phone number. A small typo can cause delays or failed transfers. Second, check your bank's Zelle activity section to see the payment status. Banks usually provide clear labels such as pending or processing. Third, contact your bank's customer support directly. Zelle works through participating banks, so your bank is the best place to get accurate updates. If a payment has been pending for more than 3 business days, and the recipient is enrolled, that is when you should escalate the issue. At that point, your bank can investigate whether the transaction is being held, reversed, or blocked for security reasons. For buyers and sellers using Zelle for payments, timing matters even more. Zelle is best used for trusted transactions, not for purchases from strangers. Once a payment is completed, it cannot be reversed easily. If a transaction is delayed, do not resend the payment until you confirm the status of the original transfer. Sending multiple payments can trigger additional security checks or duplicate transfers. So, what is the longest a Zelle transaction can take? In most real-world cases, no more than 3 business days. If the recipient is not enrolled, it can take up to 14 days before the payment expires and the money is returned. Anything beyond that usually involves a specific issue that requires bank support. The key takeaway is this: Zelle is fast by design, but it is not immune to delays. Understanding enrollment status, bank security checks, processing times, and limits can save you a lot of frustration. If you rely on Zelle for personal payments, rent, or small business transactions, always double-check recipient details and know your bank's limits. That simple step can prevent delays and ensure your money moves as quickly as possible.